Hungry Trilobyte podcast would like to start by acknowledging Soonercon. Set sail once again for the high seas of Oklahoma's longest-running pop culture convention. A fun weekend awaits you full of cosplay, shopping, celebrity autographs, panels, and the after-hours events. Set up in the Embassy Suites in Norman, Oklahoma, you'll find a fantastic geeky weekend, June 19th through 21st, 2026. Visit Soonercon.com for details.
We are live at Fan Expo Chicago with Meghan Fitzmartin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, thanks so much. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk to you. You're working with some of my favorite characters.
Thank you.
Let me just kind of give a short list here. We've got Robin, we've got Spoiler, we've got Superboy, and these are characters that are iconic from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of characters that came about at that point that fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited that you managed to pick them up. And I'm not saying you did it single-handedly, but your work has been very notable.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
So how do you think we're managing to keep these characters fresh when some other characters really didn't quite get to that point?
I think a large part is really leaning into the emotion of characters. Every single IP that I have had the joy and the honor to work with, I always come in from what would be the interesting emotion that we haven't seen from this before? So many of these characters, I mean, these are characters from the 90s, but that's still a hefty chunk of time. They've been through a fair amount of stories. What have we not seen from them? I think is always my way in on stories, because there is nothing new under the sun. We've seen everything before. We've seen it again. We will see it again. But the fact is, everything has been told, but not in the same way, and every single person has a different spin on it. So I always try and find what I find interesting and what I haven't seen before, and what would make me want to pick up the book.
Did you read a lot of these characters before you took the job?
I did, yeah. I grew up on I started reading comics I think around 2002, 2003.
Okay.
So I was definitely catching up on a lot of the 90s runs. But I remember reading the Jeff Johns Titans run with Tim and with Connor and with Cassie. I remember reading all about Stephanie. I loved Stephanie so much. They were my friends.
So was there a certain point you said, okay, this is a story that's not told and you can just see it there ready to go?
The way that I sort of go into things, especially because I come from a professional writing space, I know what energy I can give to something, and so a lot of times I maybe think that something's really interesting, but I'll put it aside until someone is like, hello, we would like to pay you for something, and then I'll be like, cool, great, let me pull that box out and let me rifle through it, because otherwise I end up sometimes spending energy on things that I don't get to play in, which is devastating, and then I get sad for a little bit.
I would say Tim Drake kind of became DC's Peter Parker equivalent for a while, in that they let him have real, typical teenager problems.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a step to the side from, say, Dick Grayson, who had his parents killed, which is unfortunate, but not something every kid deals with.
Right.
We don't all join the circus.
We don't all, we're not all born into the circus. We don't all join the circus. We don't all steal tires from the Batmobile.
Right.
I very much evolved. I really got on with those comics, especially when I was younger, because I love a more grounded story. I come from a much more what is the smaller story space. I remember loving Mark Waid's run on Daredevil and how it was really focused on the character of Daredevil. Daredevil is great because Daredevil cares about his block. He's like, you guys can take care of the rest of the world. You guys can take care of the rest of Manhattan. I care about this neighborhood. And I think that there's a real fun that we can miss sometimes when the stakes are so high. And it's something that I loved so much about Tim Drake and playing in that space. And whenever I was reading Tim Drake, I was always so struck by how grounded so much of the stories were, and how it felt like problems that I also recognized in my life, and it gave me a model either to lean towards or to lean away from in some cases of I definitely don't want to do what you're doing, Tim. That seems silly.
Yes.
But it very much gave me a space to exist as a teenager to sort of work out my own problems.
So talking about seeing yourself in the character of I got to notice a project you're doing called Mary Sue.
Yes.
And that is literally the name of the game.
Yep.
That is literally the name that's given to this situation, usually pejoratively.
Uh-huh.
But you're actually turning it into something very positive.
Yes.
And I think that's awesome.
I am taking back the phrase Mary Sue. I think that Mary Sues are wonderful. I think that they have always existed in fiction spaces, not just in fandom, not just in the 1972 zine, which is where they got their name from, the Star Trek zine, but like that idea of someone trying to understand the world around them and understand the where they fit into the world around them through fictional things. I think we can go as far back, like Dante's Inferno is a really good example of this, of just a person sort of grappling with who they are and where they exist in the space in an imaginatory way. And I think especially Mary Sue's become very pejorative because they are generally tend to be, they are made fun of when they are more done by women. When in reality, I think that it is a way in which women have learned how to engage with femininity, engage with what that aspect of who they are as a gender, in their gender, means. And so we make fun of it because we don't understand it and we don't want to deal with it and we think that it's silly or stupid. I think Mary Sues are wonderful. I think Mary Sues are so important for who we are and to understand the who we're going to be. I think we have to. Yeah.
So Mary Sues are allowing women to engage with the characters on their own terms.
It's allowing them to engage with the characters on their own terms. It's allowing them to learn about life through fictional spaces that often feel much safer. Like sometimes it's really difficult to sort of experience who you are with other people and other places. And so to have fiction and have a space where you feel confident in gives you that sense of confidence. It gives you that sense of security that you can like try this thing about yourself, try this thing. Like maybe you like this, maybe you don't like this, but you don't want anybody to know because all of your friends like this other thing. But in this space, you are safe to exist how it is that you want to be and to learn how you want to be.
I have a very dear friend,
Yeah.
a woman slightly older than myself, who was a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Okay, yes.
And like truly loved it, lived
Yeah.
and breathed it, but was upset because she could not see any character that really resembled
Yes.
herself. So what was her option but
to make a Mary Sue.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially more femme folks in comic spaces we don't always see ourselves. That is less so now. We're in a space that is definitely moving away from that and moving into a much more diverse space, a much more like community space that looks like, you know, a lot of different people. But especially during that time, it was very, I definitely was like, if I want someone to look like me, if I want to understand this, if I want to have a character that like looked like me in these action adventure spaces, then I had to write them myself. I had to put them into my favorite fandoms.
Mary Sue, when you say it's being treated derogatory in a derogatory way, the argument is that it is. A lot of times, these arguments are just not even in good faith. They're just.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, let's pretend it's in good faith. It's
Yeah.
because it is a lazy form of writing. The character doesn't have any depth. Do you think that is a valid thing to say, or is it?
No,
Okay.
like, I think that like when people get mad at bad writing, they don't recognize that like they maybe need to do their own looking into that. Like, why do you feel like that's bad writing, or is it that like maybe it's just not what you like, and that's okay too. Like that has existed for time and space. There's many things that I can look at and I'm like, well, that's just not writing for me. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that I don't personally like it. So I feel like I've seen that in a lot of spaces, but also who cares if it's bad writing? Like there's a lot of bad writing out there. Like these spaces are not for professional spaces. Like quite often Mary Sues are existing in like in the way in which they've become derogatory. Quite often it is in fandom spaces anyway, where like no one has claimed to be professional in it. So I have never really understood that like anger against it. Do you know what I mean? Like I've never really understood that like frustration that people have, because it's like, well, that's not your. No one's claiming to be professional here. So, and then in the professional spaces, I think that that's just.
If we look at Star Trek, the character Michael Burnham
Yeah.
is frequently called a Mary Sue.
Sure.
and they're responsible as a character without any flaws or nothing but flaws. They really can't make up their mind on that anymore.
Right.
And do you see that as having any more validity because it is a professional script?
I definitely tend to have a lot more grace in things like that. Mostly because I try and give the writer for like those spaces. I think I try and give writers in like both professional and fan spaces the understanding that they are working through something, like that they are trying to figure it out. That's what all art is. It's just figuring out like, what do I mean in this? What am I trying to do? What am I trying to pull apart? What I don't always enjoy is when a character is being written without a full understanding of backstory. So like, I firmly believe that men can write women, women can write men, but I do think that sometimes there is a level to which a character doesn't always hit because there is a lack of understanding of what that person's lived experience is. I think that is a separate criticism to someone being a Mary Sue. Because that is a real criticism, and I do think that exists. I think in Mary Sue's of like, oh, this character is like either superpowered or this character either is not superpowered. Sometimes I like to like, I want it to be pulled apart into say, sometimes I'd rather people like pull apart and go, okay, so what are they trying to do here? Like a lot of times I find, so I worked on a show called Supernatural. There is definitely arguments to be made for like this character is too overpowered or this character is too underpowered. That's just fiction though. Like I think with a lot of times what people are bumping up against is like, but this isn't the type of fiction I like. Okay, cool. There are many other types of fictions that you can consume. Everything doesn't have to be for you, and I think that is a lesson that is still difficult for people to learn.
I would agree with that. So let's swing back and look specifically at your project, Your Mary Sue.
Yes.
What is this going to be about?
It is about a teenage girl who writes fan fiction for her favorite TV show. It is a fake TV show that I have created and now I am deeply in love with, called Riverview. It's very much hearkening to the like 2014 Tumblr Super Hulakian type of time period. And she writes a Mary Sue that is a representation of not just like the perfect person and like the perfect version of herself, but it's also an aspect of how she wants other people to be, which I think is really fun. I don't think we always really engage with Mary Sue's on like, it's not just me in there. It's what I want myself to be, or it's what I want other people to be. And so she has this character named Jessica who is her Mary Sue and is the like one in control of everything. She is the character that like all of these other things are happening and she's the one that comes in and is like, I don't like bullies and I'm here to make everything okay and I'm here to make sure that this ship happens and I'm here to da 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 da. And then when Cassie, the main character, gets bullied at school for her fan fiction, Jessica comes to life and essentially fights on her behalf. And as is true in life, fan fiction is still kind of a like embarrassing thing that people still don't like to talk about. It's really fun. One of my favorite things to do at this convention has been to just say the word fan fiction, and when it hits, like there are some people that I've talked to that like their eyes light up because they're like, no one ever talks to me about fan fiction. Like I don't get to say that out loud unless it's with my friends or if it's online. And so there's this real joy in being able to be seen in that way. So so that's it's about Jessica coming to life, and then Jessica like creates chaos as having your Mary Sue in the real world would. But it's a love letter to fandom. It's a love letter to fan fiction. It's a love letter to tropes. I'm really proud of it. I'm really excited about it.
Is it going to be? You have a certain number of issues planned?
It's 5 issues. It'll be coming through Boom. It starts October 1st. One of the things that I love about it that I'm really excited, every single issue has a particular variant that is leaning into a different fandom.
Okay.
So one of our variants for the first issue is a Twilight variant, and very much leaning into the like Edward and Bella kind of aspect of that. But we've got some other ones. One in particular that I am very excited about. So we've got 5 issues. They'll come out from October through February.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
So-
really excited.
Could it expand beyond that if the mood strikes you?
So my secret truth is that I am a frustrated historian. I always love history, and I always love documenting a lot of history. And what this for me is very much a study into the history of Mary Sue's. But there is so much of fandom that I think we can dive into the history of that I would love nothing more than for Cassie and Jessica to dive into.
That sounds really, really cool. Okay. Where can people follow your adventures? Where can they get this comic? You said it's going to be out in a couple of months.
It's out on October 1st at any local comic book store. So, like, wherever you go, mention Mary Sue. They should know what it is, and if they don't, shame on them. But if they should know what it is, they should be able to pre-order it for you. And then you can find me on pretty much any social media. I'm MEGFITZ89, MegFitz89 on everywhere.
Megan, thank you so much for doing this. I'm having a great convention. I hope you are too.
I am. Thank you so much. It's so good to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Let's keep in touch.